from a psychological standpoint, we're never weaker than when we're angry. We're never more of a victim than when we're angry. We've given our power away. We think that's when we're the most powerful because we're all pumped up and we're angry, but that's when we're actually the weakest. And what you're saying by pursuing forgiveness is we're taking our power back. And I think about holding a grudge and being locked in this revenge loop. It's like, I think about whoever it is that you feel aggrieved by. It's like you're locking hands with them and you're locked in forever and they're right in your face. And when you forgive that person, it's like you let go and you've pulled away from them. They're not controlling you anymore. You're free and you can let go of them. And I can tell you, forgiveness in my life, I've forgiven people that never knew they transgressed against me. It's not about them. It's about me. They didn't need to know. They never knew they transgressed against me. They didn't need to know. It wasn't about them. It's like I've accepted apologies that were never given. It's like I've just decided it's okay. They don't need to know. And I think if we can get people to understand this is about me letting myself, that prison you get in when you're in that revenge loop, that door locks from the inside. You don't have to wait for them to let you out. You can let yourself out, and the key is forgiveness. That's what we can control. And that's what I want people to hear from what you're saying. They don't have to wait for somebody else. This is all up to them.
Boy, every one of those metaphors, I wish I'd had this conversation while I was writing my book, because you've really put your hand on it. And I want to use locking hands with the person who wronged you and finally deciding to just let go. That's such a powerful metaphor for what's occurring. And it's also important to really focus on that choice, and that the forgiveness that you're doing never, ever needs to be communicated to the person who wronged you. It's completely internal to you. You can share it if you want. But let's just think for a second, why would you do that? You would probably say, I forgive you to somebody if you want to maintain the relationship that you have with them. You want to salvage it. Great. If that works in a certain situation, do it. But there will be other situations in which maybe the relationship either isn't important to you, isn't possible anymore, is irreparably broken. Maybe the other person is completely gone for your life, from your life. And in all of those instances, and I've used the strategies, the forgiveness strategies that I've developed with people whose, let's say, a serious act of violence, a murder occurred years ago, but the person who did the murdering is now dead. So you can't get revenge on them anyway, but you're still thinking about it and you're still wanting the revenge that you're never going to get. And finally, to decide, I'm just going to forgive that and move on, is so freeing, because there is no other way to free yourself. As you said, Dr. Phil, you're unlocking the door from the inside and letting yourself out of the prison that your brain has constructed. And it's a real prison, and there's no doubt about it. The neuroscience shows that is a real prison, but now it's showing that there is a way to unlock that door and get out and set ourselves free. And we can even do that, at a societal level. I think that societies themselves, as groups of people, go through cycles of revenge seeking and then forgiveness. And that we in America right now, we're in a pretty vengeful state. I think we're a revenge addicted nation in a lot of ways. And I think that in large part, that's been brought upon us, or at a minimum amplified, by social media platforms that have technology has just brought them into human experience very recently, and we weren't prepared for it. We're not prepared mentally at all for a system that can be available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on a little phone that we hold in our hand that's constantly breathing grievances into our face from other people, infecting us with their grievances, and then giving us the instantaneous opportunity to retaliate with a mean statement of our own desires to retaliate and what should be done to so and why, and infecting other people with those grievances so that we end up with a million people, or millions of people, I should say, sharing the same grievance at the same time, and all at the same time engaged in planning and fantasizing how to get revenge. It's an exceptionally dangerous time that we live in. And you can see it all throughout your own social media. You can see it on television and every other media platform. And we need to start taking steps to control that, or it's going to control us. And we're all going to be, as a nation, inside a revenge-seeking prison, which would be very dangerous and has happened throughout society in some of the most important nations of the world. And I write about those in my book.
The algorithm picks up on this on social media, and it starts feeding that algorithm because you click more when you're upset, not when you're calm. And it starts connecting people together, so there gets to be a mob mentality. And I've always told people across time, I did it when I was in private practice, and I've done it since, that you never know how long the people in your life that you care about are going to be there, or how long you're going to be there. And I've always admonished people, don't let the sun set another day that you don't reach out and say and do to the people you love and care about the things you need to say and do. And I've never seen more desperate pain than someone that had serious grievances with a family member, a mother or father, for example, and that person died. And being rather experiential, I've taken sometimes those patients to the cemetery and symbolically had them say what they needed to say to that person, to their headstone, to the grave, and invariably would hear them say, "How dare you die on me, you no good rat bastard, before I had a chance to say what I needed to say. How dare you do this to me?" And they felt so lost and so cheated and so upset, and how I wished I had your model, the non-justice system for setting yourself free. If we can jump to chapter 11 of your book and talk about the model, the role-playing model where the person plays every role. But can you describe to people this virtual trial process that you think is so important to go through? And I couldn't agree more and wish that you developed this many years ago, but talk us through this.
What we're looking at when we have a grievance, and I should probably start by saying I'm a lawyer by training. And what lawyers do, litigators do, is we go into courtrooms and we start the process of seeking legalized revenge, right? I mean, that's what a lawsuit is about, or a criminal prosecution. Is we're going to try and hold somebody accountable for sure, but often there is a motivation that's deeper than that. It's natural. It's what we've been talking about. It's this gratifying, this craving for revenge, which is to say, to punish the person who wronged you or wronged society if there was a crime against society. So humans for thousands of years have been living with this trial structure. And there's a reason, it turns out, for it, because the trial structure gives victims, victims of all forms of trauma, this critical opportunity to be heard in public so that they can share what happened to them. It gives you this incredible opportunity for the defendant to state their side of the case and maybe explain whatever their circumstances were for why they did it, should they choose to do so. You get a judge or a jury who's going to hold the defendant accountable, or perhaps find them innocent. And then, more behind the scenes and behind the curtains, there's going to be a warden that's running the prison that's going to carry out a sentence that's handed down by that judge or the jury. But you rarely ever get a chance to see that or be part of that. So what I did with this research that has been, kind of coming together over the last 20 years is saw the insight that if the pain that we've been describing, Dr. Phil, is inside our heads, that's the memory of victimization and trauma. If that's in your head and you can't experience it with your senses, and if the memories that are causing you that pain are only inside your head, nobody else outside of you can experience what happened 20 years ago to you. They can't experience your memories of it now, nor, lastly, can they experience your cravings for revenge and desire to punish the person who wronged you, which are also only inside your heads. And so it occurred to me during my research, why don't we recreate the trial experience inside your head where everything is happening? Do we really need a courtroom that's built of stone and that has a real judge on a bench that's not you, and a bunch of lawyers who are not you, and a court stenographer and a jury who's not you, to do all of this work when you could just have one person, the actual victim, have the opportunity to carry out that trial on their own inside their head, but play all the roles themselves. So they get to play the prosecutor and victim. They get to play, you, the victim, you get to play the defendant for a moment and imagine what the defendant's going to say. You get to play the judge and the jury, not some other judge. You get to be the judge. You get to be the jury, and you get to be the warden carrying out the punishment. And then ultimately, we add one last step called the final judgment, in which you get to play the judge of your own life in deciding whether you wish to set yourself free. And it's all your decisions. The entire trial is under your control. It's a dramatic process. We've used it with victims of serious sexual abuse, as I said before, murder, just about any form of crime and any other form of victimization and trauma. And what we find is that it creates for people this amazing, long and desperately needed opportunity to be heard and to hold somebody accountable. And to do that at the same time that by the end, not only they get the opportunity to decide guilt or innocence and punish and be part of that punishment by imagining what it looks like safely, taking away this craving for revenge in the real world that is so deadly and dangerous to their lives. And then in the last step, give them the opportunity to imagine what it would feel like, as I described, to forgive and set themselves free rather than continue seeking justice in the form of revenge. So that's the non-justice system that we've created. I've created an app version that's free for people called the Miracle Court app that anyone can access.